Hey, what's going on, Antichrist Magazine? I am Dan Hughes of the band Dead Nexus. We're out of Portland, Oregon, and we play a blend of death metal and thrash metal with a lot of other influences from black metal to grindcore. We're a four-piece band, and we have a real guitar-focused sound with lots of fast, killer riffs, lots of solos, some heavy, brutal vocals, and some killer, fast-paced drums with a lot of blast beats and double bass. The name Dead Nexus, we took quite a while to come up with this name. We started with a very extensive list of kind of evil metal sounding words that we were trying to put together. We wanted it to be a two-word name, and we spent a good time going through, coming up with lots of ideas, and eventually we narrowed it down by focusing on what we had in common, how we came to start the band. And although not all of the original members are still involved with the band, the name still carries on, and the name Dead Nexus, so we have Dead and Nexus, and Nexus is a connection, and so we're connected by the dead, hence Dead Nexus. The founding members of Dead Nexus, we were brought together through death and tragedy in our personal lives, and reaching out to each other and our friends and family in the metal community, we were able to find each other, essentially get together and start jamming over. Some of the original members met over kind of a Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving type celebration, and it kind of snowballed out from there, and we came up with the name Dead Nexus, the connection of the dead. Our new album, Becoming the Ancients, this is an interesting take on the potential future of mankind. Our music, of course, heavily focuses on the connection of death and dying, and with this album we explore some potential futures of mankind. Becoming the Ancients kind of sets the stage for the possibility of mankind continuing on and progressing to a more advanced civilization with advanced technologies, but with these advancements can come potential downfalls where we can have unforeseen consequences to our actions. Becoming the Ancients explores the idea of, if we are in fact alone in the universe and there's no other intelligent beings or entities out there, and there's no aliens, then the burden shifts to us to become the founders of a galactic community, where if we can put aside our problems of the here and now and ascend to become what other civilizations may look to in the future as the the elders, the ones with the advanced knowledge that can help progress them, or even potentially create even more chaos and destruction through our advanced technologies, nuclear weaponry. So becoming the ancients is similar to the ancient aliens idea, where we have built upon the backs of ancient aliens to create our civilization, but it's actually in reverse, where we set the foundation now and become this higher power that controls these advanced technologies and shares them with the rest of the galactic community. So it's a heavily space-themed concept album that continues our progress through our past albums, Bound by Flesh, and then Unfathomable, to keep progressing that idea, moving down to the future. And the songs on the album explore this potential future, but also the consequences, the pitfalls that you might face along the way, where there's always a dark side to technology that can be unforeseen. For Becoming the Ancients, our artwork for the album is a really cool space monster theme. Where we have a big creature that is pretty common in death metal and technical death metal, having some cool monsters for the artwork. But it depicts also a man in the photo, kind of insignificant compared to this strange creature that is all-encompassing, and it is a reflection of where we are now and whether or not we can survive long enough to become the ancients of the future. The artwork on this album was done by our friend at Hand Wrought Art, and they're kind of making their way through the underground metal scene. They do a lot of album artwork for smaller bands, death metal and thrash metal, black metal bands. And we had been shopping around for quite a while for this album artwork. We wanted to make sure we had the perfect piece, but didn't quite have the budget to go after a custom piece of artwork, which would have been amazing. But this piece of art that that Hand Wrought hooked us up with, it just fits the motif of our album completely. And he's a great guy, great prices. He can offer customization and has a quick turnaround. Definitely look him up all over the social media. It's Hand Wrought Art, and it shouldn't be very hard to find. Dead Nexus, as a small underground death metal band, we often have a hard time connecting with the right audience, getting out to the people who are really into death metal, as opposed to other genres where metal kind of gets grouped in all together. But we often get asked, do you guys foresee trying to get onto a record label or get a record deal? And we've had a few offers in the past, not a lot, and they weren't the best deals, so we didn't go forward with those. I think that a band can make their way without a record label, But what a good record label can bring to you is reach to the fans that are going to most appreciate your genre of music. If you can get hooked up with the right label that is really into your particular niche and subgenre, that can put you in the forefront of the biggest fans of death metal, technical death metal, or whatever the subgenre may be. But it's got to be a good deal for both parties. You know, what are they going to be able to offer you as a band that you don't already have independent of them? Because of course they're going to want to make a profit off of having you in the roster. But it can be worth that reach to get to the fans, get that authority, showing people who you are and that you are in fact worthy of the fans' attention. So many people only pay attention to the bands that they're told to by big record labels, by PR firms. You know, there's lots of people that only check out bands from this record label, whether, you know, it's Nuclear Blast or Metal Blade. People are quite curious, how do you start down this road of death metal, extreme playing, extreme guitar solos and riffs, the fast pace, the aggressiveness of this type of music? And it's usually a long road. For myself, I started off actually just as a vocalist, been singing for quite a long time, and it was hard to break into a band as just a vocalist. And I had taken some different instruments and music classes while I was in primary school, and had a good foundation in music theory. I know how to play different wind instruments, and I decided to pick up the guitar and started to really get into it really quickly, and it just got to the point where I can't put it down. Every day playing guitar, perfecting the skills, the speed that it takes to play this kind of music. And several years later, got a couple of great bands that I'm in playing guitar, and very happy to be with them, playing live music, doing recordings and making albums. I never would have thought, years ago back in band class, that would set the foundation for where we are now, playing extreme metal. And growing up, I had a lot of musical influences, listened to a lot of rock and metal on the radio, but the music they have on the radio isn't the heaviest, so I kind of piqued my interest, and then I started to really get into heavier bands that you can't find on the radio. Once you get past Metallica and Slayer, started getting into heavier and heavier bands, getting into death, and then it comes the 90s and getting into Pantera, and just a noseball out of control from there. Just heavier, harder hitting, faster, more brutal music, and trying to emulate those sounds and kind of pave my own way through the extreme music and metal community. If there was one thing I could change about the music industry, especially the metal part of it, it would be how cliquey the industry is as a whole. It's less about the music that you make. You could be the best guitarist, the best musician, but if you aren't in with the particular people, the movers and shakers that hold the keys to the gate, the gatekeepers, you're not going to get very far. So it reminds me a lot of how people were in high school. You know, everyone is in their little cliques where they only talk to the people that are kind of already in their circle. So I would have people opening up to be more appreciative, more inclusive of not just the people that they already know or are told by a gatekeeper that they're worth checking out, but letting their actual music speak for themselves. If they perform great music, that should be all that matters. Now, I've played quite a few shows, especially with Dead Nexus, when we first got to the point of playing in the local metal scene. The first year or 2 or 3, we played a ton of shows, like every weekend, every other weekend we were playing, and inevitably you're going to have some problems. You're going to have issues, and one that really sticks in my mind is we're playing one of our first bigger shows at a big music venue, and I think it was the first song. We come out and we just start hitting our set as hard as we can, and myself, being too aggressive, picking probably way too hard. Within the first 30 seconds of the song, I snap right through a string, and I did have a backup guitar, but it takes a while to get that plugged in, ready to go, and that kind of didn't set the best stage, so to speak, for the rest of the show, where that opening, start off killer, but then when the guitar cuts out, and that's a bummer. But when you're playing live music, it doesn't matter who you are. There's going to be things that happen out of your control. Your instrument. I've had venues where part of the power cuts out, so you lose the PA, or things are out of your control. But how you react to those situations and how you recover really shows your ability to be adapted to the situation and provide a good show, regardless of things that you just can't control. So, for new media, I try to check out a lot of horror movies, sci-fi movies. Of course, the new Dune movie came out not too long ago, and that is just the new remake, just really beautifully made. I won't say too much if you haven't seen it, but looking forward to more content from them in the future, hopefully sooner than later. Love all the sci-fi movies, like Aliens or cyberpunk themes, Blade Runner, that type of stuff. And just horror movies, whether they're campy or cheesy or not. I have a good appreciation for both. For new music, since COVID, a lot of bands rolling out new music. We've got all the bands over at Artisan Air Records, like In Theory, coming out with relatively new music. You got Archspire just dropped their newest album, and First Fragment. Lots of good technical music, a new Obscura. Lots of, it's a great time to be checking out some new music. A lot of killer new releases. Before COVID and the pandemic, Portland, Oregon, we had a pretty good local metal scene. And even for metal, pretty much almost every night you could go see some type of metal band or hard rock band, whether it was doom metal or death metal, lots of black metal, stoner metal. There's a lot of really excellent bands, and the scene was going pretty strong. Now that we're sort of kind of coming back out to shows again, starting to get back to that point where we definitely have the whole weekend. Any night is going to have at least one metal band, if not a couple, at different venues throughout town. But the number of venues, not everybody's come back, and a lot probably won't come back. So we have a lot less choices, but that just helps consolidate and get more people in the same venue instead of spreading out so far, since there's so many options. So I think we're at a good place to be coming back, having shows again safely. We've got mask up, and most venues around here are requiring proof of vaccination or a negative test, and whatever it takes to get people back out, enjoying live music again. I know I've been going out as much as possible, checking out small bands, big bands, getting back out and supporting the metal community. With future Dead Nexus, in the near term, we're going to keep promoting our newest release, Becoming the Ancients, and we're going to be gearing up for some summer shows. Right now it's still winter, but we're gearing up to get ready for some local shows and hopefully some festivals, get back out into the music scene. We have had some lineup changes, so that is going to take time to get back to the point that we're back out shredding up the stage. But we'll be there in good time. And kind of longer term, we're going to be maybe looking at re-releasing some of our older songs with some more up-to-date recordings with the new band members, getting those out to people, and eventually start working on our next release, which probably won't be this year, and we'll try and get that out probably in the next 18 months or so. We have some new jams, especially with the new members. I want to thank Antichrist magazine for having us on. Super appreciate that. I'm Dan with the band Dead Nexus. We play death metal out of Portland, Oregon. We've got our new release, Becoming the Ancients. This is out now. You can stream it on Spotify, on YouTube. We'll have all these links below. And then you can also purchase it on Bandcamp, just deadnexus.bandcamp.com. You grab our newest album or grab a download. So thanks for checking it out, and keep it metal!